wants to do the intro? Saying hi to all of our 500 viewers.
Hello, everyone.
You can go ahead and do it.
Hello, everyone. This is your pal Nova coming at you today with all three of us in the same room. Hasn't happened for a great many years, but we're going to do a little OAB for you all today.
So with the announcement of, what was that game? I already forgot.
Ashes of Creation.
Yeah, so Ashes of Creation. So we heard about them getting in bed with my.com for their publisher, who's, as Nova pointed out to everybody in another video, is notoriously known for being pay to win. We wanted to talk about the future of MMOs. So, yeah. Then we throw our intro in right there, right? So I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of information that we've already talked about. Right now, there's 4 really big MMOs. We got WoW, Final Fantasy XIV, Guild Wars 2, and Elder Scrolls Online. All those games have something in common except for Guild Wars. They all have a really rich lore and history that was well established with other games before those games were launched. Since WoW, we've had so many overhyped MMOs. We've had WildStar, BDO, Revelation Online, Terra, Elder Scrolls Online. I know I mentioned that as one of the biggest MMOs, but when it was first launched, it did not launch that well. Blade and Soul was another one. Guild Wars 2, another one that I know is big now, but it wasn't always big. Eve, Warhammer, Albion, Final Fantasy XIV 1.0. Again, it's big now, but it used to not be. We got Star Wars The Old Republic, Tree of Savior, Vanguard, Saga of Heroes, and the list just continuously goes on and on and on. Right now, we have a bunch of MMOs that are being overhyped as well. Right now, we're looking at Ashes of Creation, Chronicles of Illyria, Star Citizen, and Amazon's new MMO, New World. All of these MMOs are just oversaturating the market, and there's a lack of innovation between all of them. They're all just copying one another to try and get a piece of the pie. We have the issue of what do we want, tab targeting or action combat? We also have to look at casual players and hardcore players because they're all going to want to play the same game. That's what's happening in World of Warcraft right now. Then we also have to worry about PvP and PvE. And on top of that, we also have to think about how much World of Warcraft has completely screwed over this genre. So my question to the boys here was, what is it going to take to break from the norm and actually come out with a new MMO that's going to break the market and do what World of Warcraft did over 10 years ago?
So, hey, Radhead here. Let me lean in so you guys can actually hear me. I kind of wanted to give a little bit on this because I'm the one of the crew with the most game dev experience, so I understand a little bit about kind of why we don't see a lot of innovation in specifically the MMO genre. Video games and any software is really very, very expensive to make. And an MMO is actually one of the most expensive games to make. They require the largest teams, the largest amount of investment, the largest amount of time in order to make the game between when you start developing something and then when you can actually release that thing. So there's just tons of investment that has to go into making an MMO. So innovating is actually really dangerous in an MMO because you take a bet when you try to innovate. You're trying something different and not proven. So when you're trying to make a bet, you're not going to get investors to want to invest in your game because they might lose a lot of money. Whereas if they try something like WoW did or some other MMO that did it right, they can try and take a piece of their pie with the exact same feature, basically. So I mean that's really why you don't see a lot of innovation, specifically in the MMO genre. And I'll pass over to somebody else.
I mean, I think we got some possible innovation in those 4 being hyped MMOs right now. Ashes is trying to innovate with their node system in a world that's always evolving. Chronicles of Illyria is really trying to innovate. They're gonna have you're a different style of gameplay, where your character is gonna die and be reborn. We get to keep some stats and stuff, but it's a different type of system. And the New World, we don't know a whole lot about. It's going to be a sandbox MMO survival type game, but I think these new ones they're being hyped because they're trying to innovate.
Yeah, and Star Citizen, they are trying to innovate by being the most massive type of world that's ever been created in an MMO. And just to give you some context, they are one of the most heavily crowdfunded games that has ever existed, maybe the most. And just so you can see the kind of scale of money that it takes to innovate in the MMO space.
But I mean, for Star Citizen, how long has it been in development now?
5-6 years. It's somewhere around there. It was like 2012.
I thought
or
it's been
13.
longer than that.
It could be. I think it was like 2012 or 13. We'll have to check and post the real date here on the video.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think those games are becoming popular because they're innovating, but now we start to see Ashes of Creation go the other way.
Yeah. Yep. I'm really disappointed that I mean I know it's not for all regions, but just my.com has taken games that have had a lot of promise, pushed the pay to win aspect, and I mean you can't really blame them. Almost every MMO has a pay to win aspect now. I mean even World of Warcraft, you can buy a character up to level 110, and some people would argue that that's pay to win.
Yeah,
So-
in some way, yeah, I would agree that is.
But it's hard because in WoW, that's also like hundreds of hours of
It's not
content,
no. I mean to get to 110 doesn't take that long at all.
from a fresh guy with no account, though.
40 hours.
And no experience in the game.
No experience, yeah. If you don't have any experience, it's going to take you longer. But if you know what you're doing, it's only going to take 40 hours to get to 110. It was somebody actually did the math.
All right, let's
Okay.
look at
But something else that I know we've been talking about the innovation, but what do you guys think about a new franchise compared to an established franchise? Like, for me personally, I know that it seems like, to me at least, that all of the franchises that are doing really well right now have established franchises. Like, there was Warcraft, there's a slew of Final Fantasy games. I know 14 is its own story, but the world itself and, like, the primals and everything, that's part of the lore of Final Fantasy. Guild Wars had a previous game. Elder Scrolls is massively popular. Elder Scrolls Online just is a continuation in the same world, so it already has all that lore built up into it.
It would have to be an established franchise because of the issue that I spoke about earlier. Companies don't want to invest money in bets if it's not going to be something that's proven. And something with an existing lore base, it's an easier bet to make because people are going to come back to the game for the lore and the world, even if they might not like the new mechanic.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening with WoW.
But is it because of the existing lore, or is it just that those companies have enough money to make an MMO?
It's both.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of both.
Go out, right?
Like, the only reason WoW got developed was because Blizzard was like, hey, we have all of this money, let's put it into something, and hey, this genre we can actually put our foot in here and actually get a slice of this pie. They just didn't know it was going to blow up to what it happened to actually blow up to.
So your question was, what is it going to take for a company to actually do this? It's an easier bet because they need to be able to innovate, which means that they need to be able to have an existing lore base and a lot of capital behind them, a ton of money and time.
It's funny. Ashes of Creation has a lot of money behind them, and they still went to the pay-to-win guys.
I think what it's really going to take is something else that I put in my notes was it's going to also take a game that has good PvP and PvE because you can't have one or the other.
Well,
For it to be massively popular, I know like there are some like BDO is focused on PvP. There are like world bosses and stuff, but the main attraction for that game is the PvP.
I was actually going to argue that point. I was going to say that for them to be successful, they need to focus on one or the other. To
Really?
be great at it.
Well, I mean,
Because
Right.
you're already dumping a ton of development time and effort and money and
But if
people
you-
into a game.
I would agree with that.
I agree with that, but if you're committed to only going to either PvP or PvE, you're immediately splitting your fan.
You
like,
have
your-
to, though. It's
You're
like
correct.
it's like this is the problem that I've seen even with the stuff that I do at my company. Like, if you focus on too many things, you only get to like version 1 or 2 of those things. In order for something to be great, you need to get to version 4, 5, and 6.
Right, but if you're working on that, you split your focus. But if you split your focus, now you're working for even a less of a piece. And to have something that breaks through the market as well as WoW did when it first came out, you can't do that. You have to be all encompassing.
Yeah, you need multiple teams. I mean, that just comes back to you need more money and more time.
Which is why I think it's going to have to be a big company that can put all this money into an MMO without having to say we need this to be out and ready in 5-6 years,
Right.
like Blizzard was able to do with WoW.
Which gives the new world maybe some promise because Amazon
Yeah.
is severely stacked with money.
The only thing I'm worried about that is there's no existing lore to it. There's no background to it. Like Ashes of Creation is doing a pretty good job with like giving story. Chronicles of Valyria is doing a really good job of that
They're
too.
the best. Yeah.
They're building up their lore as they push out all these.
But
updates,
it
but-
is new lore. So I mean, really,
Yeah.
really, what this comes down to is that there is actually nothing that fits all these bills right now, unless like Blizzard decides to do something with
well,
Overwatch.
If it depends, because I really think a game that could fit this very well would be if you took the Magic the Gathering world and put it into an MMO.
This is the idea you had
But
back in like
I know.
2012.
I know,
Isn't
but
there somebody developing that right
there,
now?
that's I've heard rumors about that, but I haven't found like actual like there's a Wikipedia page for it, but I haven't seen like hard concrete proof with somebody
I
from
think there was
Wizards or
somebody
something.
hiring people for that company.
Yeah,
for
but
that
there is
game, but
they're also working on like an MTG Arena game right now too. So that could have been what it was actually for, and it was just misread. So, but like to that point, they don't have a game like yeah, sure they come up with games, but they've never ventured into this territory. They would have to team up with somebody.
So inexperienced and underfunded, even if that project exists.
Yeah. Well, I
And
wouldn't
that-
say it's underfunded because it's Hasbro,
Fair enough.
but it's definitely inexperienced. That's the only problem with it, though. Like they'd have to do what Bethesda did with what was the company that made ESO for them? But
Oh,
what Bethesda
ZeniMax?
did, ZeniMax, because Bethesda doesn't have any experience with MMOs, so they had ZeniMax make it for them.
Yeah,
And
and
then
that one hit the wall pretty quick.
yeah, exactly. So they don't know what the core of that world would be. But yeah, that's what I think really needs to happen.
Nothing really fits all the bills right now, and that's why we're seeing a stagnation in the MMO market. I think that's probably what we could close on.
Yeah. I don't know if you got anything else.
I don't know. There's definitely only those four possibly great ones coming out, and they don't fit any of the bills that we just discussed as what
I mean, there's
we
still
need.
reason.
I mean, it's possible they could be good.
Yeah, there's still reason to be excited to at least get in there and try those games. But I mean, personally, I'm my expectation for any MMO that's like on the horizon right now is just I have to keep it low, so that way I don't get overhyped about it like I've done with all these other games in the
Yeah.
past. Terra, ESO, I mean, all these games.
Every
just
MMO we
BDO.
tried. I mean, Final Fantasy XIV was the only outlier, but that's because they had a 2.0 and revamp.
Yeah. See, I mean, ESO, I know a lot of people play it, but it's just, still have such a bad taste in my mouth from the first iteration.
I
of the game
tried
that
getting
can't.
back into it.
I know.
I can't do it.
Radit and I tried getting back into it, and we just...
I played it for a little bit too.
Yeah, and I tried again with Nova, and we tried with all our buddies, and it's just, we played for maybe a week, and
It's
then we
only
were like, done.
okay.
Yeah. I don't want to get into that because we're
that's-
just going to get into something
know.
else. That's not what this video is about.
So I think we can continue to monitor some of these MMOs and hope for greatness, but
Definitely.
hopefully somebody out there is looking at this market and seeing that if they actually focus on something and put out a good game, that the gamers want it. I think Ashes of Creation is the biggest
Yeah.
example right now.
And-
People want an MMO that's great, and they were backing it and they were following it. And with this recent news, people are backing off big time.
Yeah, and something I know I was just talking about this a lot, but another thing to think about with an actual Magic the Gathering type world in an MMO, all of the people who play Magic the Gathering play video games.
That's probably true.
I mean, there's probably like 1% who are like, no, I only play card games.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of them play video games. So you're gonna have the vast majority of them wanting to play this.
It would be a good bet, but we don't see anybody jumping for that. And Wizards of the Coast seems to hate to change their freaking format with Magic the Gathering.
Well, no, they just introduced a new format not that long ago.
Well, I mean like different mediums.
Oh yeah, I mean they've been trying to get the like electronic card game show going on for a while, and it just keeps failing. But
All right. Well, I think we got our answer here.
yeah, definitely.
All right. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Hey, make sure to throw your comments below and let us know what you think would be perfect to make an MMO, or what they should do to make a good MMO, or what you enjoy for an MMO, and also if you're excited for any of those 4 games we listed earlier: Ashes, Chronicles, Star,
Star Citizen.
Star Citizen, and Amazon's New World. Let us know all about that in the comments below. Thanks, guys.
Peace out, guys.
Hey, it's Radit here. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe as well. It really helps out the channel. We put out multiple new videos each week and we appreciate all of your support. Thanks for watching, everyone, and cheers.